Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, depending on where you're logging in from. Thank you so much for attending the Sage Intacct Coffee Break with RKL. Hope you have a good cup of Joe handy and are locked in for the next 30 minutes or so. My name is Mark Severance. I work as a director of construction sales. Really thankful that you've joined us for the presentation today. Along with me, I have two colleagues. David Cieslak will be the tour guide today, and Ben Hofferman is here. Both of them will be available to answer questions at the end should you have them. So let's go ahead and start with a couple of introductory slides. Sage has been trusted by the industry for decades now. They have over 50,000 construction customers. You can see there some of the statistics. There's all sorts of award-winning expertise that is infused into their construction suite. And so we're excited to be able to show you the Sage Intacct application. Again, over the years, Sage has had many customers within the construction space in general and within specific sub-verticals within the industry. So you know that you're dealing with the right publisher given their long track record of success in the industry. Now, today, as I mentioned, we'll be focused on the Sage Intacct construction solution. And while there is a growing cloud suite of modules that Sage offers, we'll really be focused right in the middle of this slide, where we're going to be focused on the construction financials, essentially the financial management modules, along with the Sage Intacct Construction or job costing module. Now, as I said, Sage has a number of other modules. We won't focus on those today, but just want you to know that's something that we can help you with in a separate discussion. Where we're going today is David will lead us through three pillars of Sage Intacct Construction. The first is reporting and visibility. Online cloud-based reports and dashboards with drill down so that you don't have to use Excel as your primary report writer. From there, he'll focus on how Sage Intacct enables you to automate your daily tasks. And then finally, talk about how Sage Intacct has open APIs and was built to integrate with other best-in-class solutions. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to put that in the chat, and we'll answer those toward the end of the presentation. With that, David, please take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Very much appreciate the introduction. And we'll do just that. We're going to jump right into product. And I'll point out a number of things as we go. But the first thing I'd like to just share, 100% cloud-based solution from the first line of code. So this is not an older product that's just been given a web facelift. Instead, this is a true cloud solution from the first line of code. And that means you'll be able to use it anywhere, anytime, any device. You simply just log in and away you go. But it's also a highly secure solution. So just want to address that right up front. Has all of the kind of the latest and greatest security protocols. And so you'll know that your information is safe and secure at the same time it's accessible. Now, one of the benefits, by the way, of being a true cloud solution is that the publisher is able to update the product in real time as you continue working with it. What does that mean? That means that all of the latest innovation is going to find its way into the product. There's nothing you need to do. So as you use it, as you enjoy the product month over month, year over year, you'll have the latest and greatest with regards to artificial intelligence or other process automation. And it just, again, becomes immediately available to you seamlessly. Nothing more you need to do from an end user perspective. But let's go ahead and use this kind of as our outline for our time together today. And we'll start with this first topic, specifically in and around insight. And so Sage, when they created the Intacct product, said, you know what, we need to solve for some legacy challenges that really have just been difficult for any organization over time. And one of those is really just gaining insight, real-time insight into the information inside your accounting solution. So rather than just thinking of it as period end compliance, give me some financial statements, how can we really turn that on its ear and make real-time information available for decision making, for insights, and something actionable. So within the product itself, that was one of the things they set about to solve for. So if I click here where it says applications at the top, and I go down to dashboards, and I'm just going to click over here where it says financial controller, and really just calling out just the critical nature, the really the amazing utility that's afforded by these dashboards, and that's part of this commitment to real-time insights and information. What do we have here? Information that's available to each user of the product up to the moment, and this is live information. So in other words, in addition to having things like maybe P&Ls and balance sheets for the controller, I also have the ability to click down on information in real time and understand what's going on. So if I say, you know what, what's going on with office supplies? I see that the numbers look a little higher than I anticipated. I'm able to drill all the way back down into the detail. I'm able to see how the information was originally coded, who entered it, even any supporting or underlying documentation. So it's a true paperless solution as well. So really a number of things we're solving for here. And you'll notice this is all, like I said, at your fingertips, very quick, answering my own questions as I look at these numbers and say, what's going on, trying to understand a little bit more. But it goes way beyond maybe balance sheets and income statements and drill down. It gives us real insight in terms of the projects, what's going on, revenue, expenses, anticipated margin. Are we, over under budget? And so we've got the ability to really just understand what's going on at a very granular level. As I said, actionable information for each of the just the users within the organization. So maybe the PM has a specific set of questions trying to understand where we're at. Or maybe we want to get some insights by project type. Let me take a look at my backlog. So really, as I said, just an opportunity to do very granular, real-time insights in terms of what's going on within the organization. And all of this is driven by something called dimensions. And dimensions are really just a way to tag each of the transactions that are inside the system. And so we have the opportunity to say, you know what, in addition to maybe a chart of account number, a natural account number, what project does this relate to? What department does it belong to? What location does it belong to? And these dimensions are, really then a way that we're going to be able to go back then and do some slice and dice analysis. So all that good looking dashboard is powered by these data attributes, these transactional tags. And so if I said, you know what, I wanted to understand transactions that have all been tagged to one of the select departments within my organization, the report writer built in the product is going to give you that great dimensional insight. So really kind of core to that, good visibility is this concept of dimensions. And by the way, that doesn't just, relate to things like departments and, projects, but it also even relates to things like legal entities. So in a Sage Intacct world, I can have multiple EINs, multiple legal entities, all living shoulder to shoulder within a single shared environment. And that's going to give me the ability then to do some incredible reporting, because once I've got all that information living side by side, it is going to give me the ability to say, you know what, give me some insights in terms of, just what does that combined perspective look like? So maybe a P&L by entity with all of that, as I said, shoulder to shoulder in this shared environment. So just a number of things we're solving for within this environment. And as I said, it's all done via this built-in world-class report writer that's giving me the ability to create financial statements, meaningful reports, as well as, dashboard elements, charts, graphs, KPIs that are going to give me that insight. And all of this, as I said, is part of just what we're trying to solve for in a next gen solution. So strong reporting, great dashboards, amazing insight in real time that's actionable for each of the users within the organization. So that's kind of insights and analysis with dashboards. And none of that, by the way, required Excel. It's all using that built-in report writer, trying to say, you know what, if the data stays home, it's going to give me an opportunity for that real-time insight. Well, let's move on to kind of the star of the show and talk about automating daily tasks. And so from a Sage Intacct perspective, they very much wanted to, understanding the role of the different users in the system, how can we help automate the daily tasks and make them less mundane, make users more efficient so they can focus on high value efforts. So I'm going to go right back into the product again, and I'm just going to click here where it says reports for a second. I'm going to go down to this projects menu, and I'm just going to call out within my projects module. I have a number of different functions listed here, but just at a high level, what am I looking at? I see things like projects with cost codes. I see maybe the ability to handle the contracts that go with those projects. The ability to track retainage, the ability to track change requests and change orders, and ultimately even do WIP management. So when I think about that effort each month, month over month, really taking something that is in many environments complex and arduous, and really trying to make that a straightforward, automated feature within the product that's driven by the data living inside. So really, we're solving for so many great things here. I'm going to click on the next tab over here, actually one more tab, and I'm going to go down to where it says applications here. Again, go into my projects module. And what did I do here, by the way? I dropped down one level into what's called my general contractor, EIN, my legal entity that I had set up. Because remember what I said at the top, I was able to define all of my legal entities. I just dropped into one specifically so we could talk about maybe the projects that are set up in this case for my general contracting organization. So again, I'm going to click on where it says projects here. And now let's take a look at the projects or some projects that are already set up inside the system. So what am I looking at here? Maybe a list of the projects that are currently underway. You'll notice that some projects maybe have a parent level project with some children underneath that. Sage Intacct allows you to have really an unlimited number of nestings when we think about projects in phases, and maybe within those phases, sub phases. We can literally say, you know what, we want to mirror that critical structure, that essential structure within the Sage Intacct solution. And this is not an afterthought. This is the architecture of the Sage Intacct solution. But as I'm looking at my list here, I see that I've got a number of projects that are currently in progress, maybe some that are awaiting, start. So they're part of our backlog. We can classify by type. So I've got a very informative, maybe even view here in terms of the projects at hand. But then as I click down on any one of the projects that I might be working on, I'm going to click where it says edit here next to Northside High School, and I'm going to look at one specific project. And so Sage Intacct said, you know what, we really want this to give you a holistic, a 360-degree view of the project itself. And so a number of tabs make this project up. You see them listed across the top here. But then what do I have here? I have maybe my project name. I have a category for my project, a project type. And so these are lists that you can maintain. And so this is all going to help drive that great reporting, that great dashboard visibility that we just kind of spoke about, but really saying, you know what, if we want to be able to slice and dice, it's going to be dimensions, it's going to be some of these attributes that are going to drive that great reporting. I have an opportunity to put a description here. Who's the customer that this pertains to? A beginning and end date for this project at a whole, at a high level, or the phase. If I'm, kind of breaking this down into phases, I'm going to be able to track some of those key dates. And so really just kind of being able to specify that. And then here's some of those default dimensions that we were just talking about. So we don't require the user, when they're doing their data entry, to have to be hand keying all these dimension tags, this dimensional information. These attributes are associated at the project level and automatically fill in completing or autofilling those dimensional tags for us. Maybe I'll see who the project manager is. So I've got some good information I'm tracking right on this very first screen. Under additional information, I might see things like percentage of completion just at a high level. What type of billing are we doing on this one? Time and material, fixed fee plus expenses. Do we charge through, certain, expenses that are captured, certain, just POs, that type of thing. We've got that kind of capability. But then I'm going to click over here where it says cost codes. And now thinking about the details, we've got the project defined at a master level. I've got a 360-degree view here, as I said. What about the work breakdown structure, the cost codes behind, that make my project up? And by the way, I can have a standard cost code catalog that I can choose from. I can set up templated jobs. So I'm not starting from scratch each time. I can say within my organization, here's what a templated job looks like. Here's the cost codes we traditionally use. I could duplicate an existing project and kind of use that clone now as a way to say, quickly get me going, and I'll tune that up. I'll dial that in. And that will be now, what I'm going to use as the structure now for this new project that I might be creating. But then as I'm looking at this cost code breakdown, I can see for each line, planned beginning and ending date. Is it billable or not? How are we going about it? In terms of, if there's percent complete here, is it currently underway? Is it completed? So we've got the ability to, again, get that good 360-degree view, but the cost codes are just part of that. What about the budget, the estimate? Sage Intacct gives you the ability to set up an unlimited number of budgets, so we can have our original estimate, we can have modified estimates, and so we're going to be able to then do that great reporting, budget to actual, and then even factor in things like change orders as well. So as the project progresses, maybe change orders are approved. How does that impact the budget? So at each point along the way, I can see maybe how I originally thought the job might play out, and then how any change orders impact that from both a revenue and an expenditure perspective. Clicking on the purchase commitments tab, whether you self-perform, and so we want to track purchase orders, or we engage with subcontractors or any combination thereof, we're going to see all of the commitments against the project, as well as the progress. What was the original amount? If there was any changes or change orders, so we'll get a revised total. How much has been invoiced? If there's retainage against that, how much has been paid? So again, good visibility from this one place in terms of all the different subcontracts that might be in motion. And as I said, change requests, change orders, I'm able to ultimately enter those into the system, pass them through an approval process, convert those to change orders, and have those change orders actually impact both estimates as well as potential contracts, what we're going to ultimately bill through. And so we think about what gets billed through. I'll see that breakdown, by those contract lines, that schedule of values. And so I've got the ability to do that. And then as I then look at the invoices themselves that might have gone out against this project. So I'm going to click on maybe a sample invoice that I've already processed for this a sample job. And so I'm going to get some real nice information on the invoice screen. I see what's being invoiced here, what's maybe retainage against that. I'm going to see the whole breakdown of what we're billing for, and I'll even be able to generate an invoice in an AIA styled format. So I'm going to have that a great ability to say, you know what, Sage, they get it. They understand what it takes in a construction environment, what the requirements are, including, how those bills need to go out the door. And so I'm going to get all of that great detail. And by the way, I'll even point out here too, don't know if you saw that when I clicked on print or email, I can email this out. So it's truly that paperless, that electronic system, able to send those invoices off to the customer in real time. So I'm going to be able to track that. So, and as I said, it's going to help me even when we think about, month end and, just really that arduous task of, WIP processing and what does that, ultimately, potentially look like. So if I go in here and I may be looking at, January, I'm able to go through and I'll just click on edit here for a second. I see a number of the different jobs I'm working with. I want to make sure my financials are correct. The CFO is going to get a chance to weigh in here, put in their estimates, the PM as well. And as I'm, putting these dollar amounts in, I'm going to be able to ultimately see then the impact, potentially the journal entry that might hit my books as a result of this. Costs in excess of billings, billings in excess of costs. And each period, I'm able to post this entry, reverse it in the next period. So I'm able to reset and revisit WIP period over period. Again, taking that spreadsheet exercise, bringing it into the product, making it a lot more intuitive, making it a lot more efficient, really saving meaningful hours, in the day. So just kind of thinking through some of the other, processes that typically take place in the system. I'm going to click here where it says applications, just thinking about processing day over day payables. I'm going to click over here rather than drilling into maybe specific items on my menu. I'm going to click over here where it says overview. And each one of the modules within Sage Intacct, in fact, has a graphical menu that goes with it. Very simple to access it. But as I'm looking at these graphical menus, for a lot of folks, they say, oh, you know what? I prefer that. That's simple, straightforward. Can our team just use that? The short answer is absolutely yes. But as I look at these graphical menus, what are some of the things we might do here? Enter a bill, approve bills, queue those up for payment. Maybe even before monies go out the door, do that. What are we doing here? Typical day over day process. We talk about automation. Some of the things I want to call out, approvals built into the product. So in other words, you know what? We recognize in a multi-user environment, not everybody is going to be permitted to do every function. In fact, there's segregation of duties. We want, maybe supervisory folks to sign off on certain things before we proceed to next steps. Those approval steps, those approval processes, that functionality is built into the Sage Intacct product. So if I say, you know what, let me enter a bill. And in my particular world, just want to give you a sense of maybe what a data entry experience looks like. Everywhere where there's a red star, that's required. I just start typing. Sage Intacct says, you know what, I think I know what you're after there. And so it fills that in. It'll fill in what it knows. And then when I'm all done, in this particular case, I am authorized to actually post. It doesn't need to go through an approval process, but we've got that capability, as I said, built into the product. So automation in each one of the modules and thinking, very clearly, what are some of those things we can, do to help make the organization more efficient. I'm actually just going to back up one step here for a second and call out to AI built into the product. So when we think about ingesting maybe AP bills, doing an intelligent scanning, scraping, coding of that, AP bill, and then presenting it for approval, built-in functionality inside of Sage Intacct. So as I said, with each of those quarterly releases, you're going to have access to the latest functionality. So you'll never be out of step and, constantly falling behind and maybe install a new program, the latest version of Intacct today, only to find out 2 or 3 years from now, we're using something that's out of date. You'll always be up to date with Sage Intacct. So again, really just looking to create, a lot of good efficiency. And that even pertains to things like month end. So when we think about month end, we have an opportunity to create checklists, monitor what people are working on, and then even at a high level say, you know what, give me a nice little dashboard so I can monitor, kind of, who's working on what and what are the next steps. So these dashboards aren't just a pretty face. They really are a place for insight and action, so I can use them to kind of help control just give me visibility, what's going on, who's working on what, just tell me, kind of what the holdup might be. So just touching on a few different use cases, some of the neat automation within Intacct. And so let's kind of talk about this last item. When we think about integration, absolutely vital within Sage Intacct. It doesn't stand alone. No solution stands alone in any organization. So the value of integration, it can't be overstated. We want this to play nice and integrate with other key products within our own organization, within the ecosystem. So when you think about maybe construction management, you think about payroll, in HR, you think about really any expense solutions for our employees, any one of a number of maybe add-on solutions that we're either using today or considering making changes to as well. Sage Intacct integrates with over 300 products today, and they promise, it's literally built into their service level agreement, their SLA, that none of these integrations will break. They call that their buy with confidence guarantee. So it's, again, not just a nice to have, it's core to the solution. So we have a resilient product, a resilient environment going forward, that we have just the highest level of confidence. It's not going to break. It'll continue functioning and functioning well. And so that's kind of the tour that we just took. Insights, automation, integration, all core to the Sage Intacct solution. And really, that's bringing relief in truly addressing so many of the challenges that organizations have today. Mark, I'll let you take it back.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, David, so much for that presentation. A quick flyover, yes, but I just want to say to all the folks on the presentation today that we would love to spend additional time with you. One, to show you more of the product features and how that might dovetail with your specific requirements. But the first step is really a discovery call where we have a better opportunity to ask lots of questions, understand what your current state is with your current technology, your current solutions, where your team is, where your organization is, and how greater automation, like Sage Intacct Construction, can be a facilitator to future growth and success. So for those who are on the call or listening to the recording afterwards, we would love to be able to hear from you. My information, David's information, Ben Hofferman, somehow he got left off this slide. Sorry, Ben. But the three of us are available and happy to be able to take that next step. And that next step doesn't have any specific obligation other than to say spend 30, 45, 60 minutes with us. We'll have a chance to dive into those details of what's most important to you and really where you're looking to take your organization in the future and how more modern cloud-based technology can help you get there.